Hey, welcome back. It is me, Ed, again. Today we're going to be talking about troubleshooting. And so one thing that I've noticed throughout the years is there's a lot of people that go on the groups and the forums and whatnot. Basically ask, my car is misfiring, or I got this code. What do I do? What do I need to replace? And these people, they start throwing parts at it and it doesn't seem to fix it. And sometimes they never get their car fixed. Sometimes they eventually throw enough parts and money at it, they get it figured out. Sometimes they just happen to pick the right information out of the comments and actually get the car fixed. The problem is you got so many different people putting input based on situations that they've seen or that they've had. And so now you got 10 different things that it could be and for you to check, but it could be none of those things. Yes, there's a time and place to ask for help on the groups. One scenario which I've used was my car broke down in a parking lot. Luckily, on the other side of the shopping center was an auto parts store, so I was able to find the information I needed on the Facebook group, and I ran to the auto parts store, bought what I needed, and got the car running and drove it back home. Perfect time to use that. But ideally, you want to properly troubleshoot the car and not just be throwing parts at the car and hope it fixes it. So what I'm about to show you is to save you time and money. Okay, so here we are. We're on the website. It is by nickelclub.com. And if you have a Nissan, pretty much most, if not all, the Nissan cars out there have the service manual listed on this website, which is incredible because not all cars can you easily find the service manual and to find it for free. So you would just go ahead, you pick your car, you pick what PDF file you want on it. It'll be broken down for like drivetrain, brakes, engine mechanical, maybe AC, interior, pretty much anything about the car will have a file about it. And some of these files are huge, especially the EC file, which is what we're going to look at today. The EC file is also going to be called the Engine Control System, ECS. What the ECS, or Engine Control Manual, is basically everything that the computer touches. So every sensor on top of the car, all your ignition coils, your fuel injectors, fuel pump, anything that touches the ECM will be on top of this file. Make sure you select the right year because wire colors and pins on your ECU are different from one year to another. So let's pull this one up. I think this is from 2006. I could be wrong. As you see here, this particular one has 1,200 pages. Some of them will have more depending on the year. Some will have less. And the ever contents, this is going to be a great starting point. QG18. We're going to go down to QR25, which is going to start from here, and it's going to go all the way through. And so you just select on what your issue is. If you have a check engine light with a code saved, that will give you an excellent starting point of where to look. Okay, so this is going to list all your DTC codes and what the codes are called. And this, if you click on these green is clickable and they'll take you right to the section that you need a reference to. They even tell you what kind of specialty tools you might need. Really generic basic diagram. Okay, so let's go to P0300, multiple cylinder misfire. And this will give you information. It tells you these are the different codes that are all related. Gives you instructions how to check it and whatnot. Diagnosis procedure. This is a part that you want to go through step by step and not skip steps. That's the problem when you get information from people is they skip a lot of these steps and they just tell you one thing to check. You check this. If it's good, you go to number 2. If it's not good, it tells you what to do. Exhaust is clogged or not. If it's okay, go to number 3 and you just keep going down the line. Let's say you got a crank sensor code and your car just takes forever to start. That's usually a crank sensor. This will give you some basic information to reference to. This will tell you your DTC for the crank sensor, which you probably already know it if you're having this issue. This will give you the wire diagram. So then you can go and take your multimeter, check for continuity on the yellow wire on the connector to the ECU. See this little star next to the 1? That tells you to look up here. So this is your reference right here. So you see WN, that is with NATs, that's pin 14 on the ECU. And ON, which is without NATs, is number 13 on the ECU. And here's all your pin outs of your ECU, so you can just look for where it is on this pin out and go ahead and test continuity between the pin on your plug on your ECU over to the sensor. You do the same thing with this red-green wire, which is number 1 on the plug. You bring it down to 119, 120. You can also check it for power, which is probably a good thing to do. I do want to say, very first troubleshooting step I like to do is just make sure all the grounds are good and tight. They'll probably actually tell you to do that on here too at some point. If you want to actually check the sensor, here's some information, what to look for in the DC voltage data. But you do want to make sure the signal from your ECM to the sensor is good. So this tells you your power supply on the red-green wire is going to be your battery voltage. So you know what to check there. Oh, wow. Look at this. Very first thing. And I did not pre-read this particular FSM. First thing you do, check ground connections. Didn't I just say that? So I'll probably have you unscrew the ground, screw it back in, and see if it reappears. You just keep following through step by step. And eventually you're going to figure out what the issue is. 9 times out of 10. You get the same thing here, but this is for the cam sensor. If you want to check your ignition coils, tells you how to do it here, evap stuff, everything. I mean, there's 1,200 pages on here. So it's cool and all if you want to get, you know, some ideas of where to start on Facebook. But I really just recommend looking at the factory service manual. Once you learn to use the factory service manual, you'll be surprised how amazing this thing is and how you can fix pretty much anything with it. But you have to look at it and you have to read it. So if you have a computer, I highly recommend downloading the file. If you got a phone, you can still download it to your phone. It's going to take a little bit harder to find stuff. But once you get the pages you need, you just screenshot it and you can just reference those pages while you're working on your car. A really cool feature is this find function. Let's see, VIAC. Let's see what we're looking for. So the butterfly valves is VIAC. Power valve, power actuator valve, I think they call it. Or VIAS. I even had it wrong. I still found it. And so this tells you what you need to check for that. Example, someone posts on the group. Basically his rev limit's kicking on like at $6,000. It's almost like his rev limit drop. What comes on normally between $5,000 and $6,000? The butterfly valves. So my theory is, well, maybe that is making the ECU hit the rev limit early because it sees it's not working. Well, he also mentioned afterwards that he had a vacuum leak, or he could hear a vacuum leak coming from that area. And one of the first things that they actually tell you to check when I went to go see the diagnosis step was vacuum leaks. I don't know if that's going to fix his car or not. There might be some more things going on besides just a vacuum leak, but we got a head start on it because of the factory service manual. Anyway, if you got any questions, let me know. Thank you for watching. Aloha, peace out, catch you in the next one.